What's good, Royal Republic? Welcome back to another video. Editor Sly here. Glad you could make it. Before we start, please join the Discord community, link down below for me. When you click the link, the invite should appear as shown. Click accept invite for direct access to yours truly, your fellow community, as well as being notified every time we go live. You'll also be able to view all VODs from the Discord server, as well as any YouTube videos, and be notified when I post here on YouTube. Speaking of YouTube, around 99% of you guys aren't subscribed to the channel. Make sure you fix that by hitting the subscribe button and turning on all notifications. If you do that, I can find the content for you and we can watch it together. Shout out to all my current subscribers as well as current subs on Twitch. We call y'all citizens, you feel me? And yeah, enjoy the video. What's good, YouTube? Got y'all with a double upload. Another one from Pint is here. How Solo Leveling's premise destroys its writing. As always, we're gonna pre-fire a little like. I recommend you guys check out the Discord community down below. Hope you can do that favor for me. It'll keep you notified every time I post a YouTube video, which is twice daily. Every time I go live on Twitch. It is also the easiest way to get access to your boy Sly. This is kind of a double upload, which I'm assuming is gonna follow like the premise of like the power scaling thing, because with series like Solo Leveling and other manhwa that I've read, that can become an issue. So we're gonna just see what Pint is talking about, see what he means. So without further ado, let's just hop straight into it.
Here's a scenario that you've probably thought of before. Man, I wish something interesting would happen.
Oh my god, is that a convenient plot device?
My name is Convenient Plot Device, and I exist solely to demonstrate the main character's strength.
Bro's name is CPD.
Damn right you are. Okay, I got a bit carried away there. That was a power fantasy. We've all had them at one point or another. The thrill of being unstoppable. The rush of the world bending to your will. Having more than $5 in your wallet.
Facts. He knows ball. He knows, but he might even know about the legendary tech of eating sleep for dinner. He just might know.
There's something intoxicating about that. And let's be real here, life can be painfully boring. The daily grind, the monotony. It's no wonder we turn to stories where rules don't apply to us. Even I struggle to roll out of bed some mornings. So escaping into a world where I'm the strongest, smartest, coldest aura farmer alive? Yeah, that's a pretty tempting escape. But here's the problem. Power fantasies have a horrible habit of turning into slop. Every once in a while you'll find one that's actually well written, but most of them...
Mob. I think One Punch Man could be a good example. I for sure say Mob is a peak example. Because it talks about, and we've talked about overpowered characters before, but it discusses how the nuances of the character and mental barriers and other various factors can affect combat and one's performance.
Designed to be mindless, effortless, and ironically uninteresting. Which brings us to Solo Leveling, the biggest power fantasy on the block right now. Calling it slop would be unfair. It's nowhere as bad as the average seasonal isekai. The art is stunning. The world is surprisingly well built. But the characters, that's where things start to fall apart. And no, it's not just because of the genre. I believe this failure is baked into the premise itself. So in this video, we're breaking it down. How Solo Leveling kneecaps its own character writing.
What's funny about him saying this is there are people, most people, can most likely name more of Sung Jin-woo's summonings than they can than every other person in verse. Like if you go name like 5 characters Solo Leveling, you can include Sung Jin-woo, you can include his summonings. People could probably let me test that. Sung Jin, Iron, I think one of his name is Iron, Igris, Beru. I'm trying to remember the name of the polar bear. But like, if you're tapped into the verse, that's like an easy little joint right there. I'm not gonna hold you. I am not gonna hold you. Versus Oh, the wizard. If we're talking about the animated wizard, I can't remember his name. One of them's name is like Tank or something. But you see what I'm saying though? Versus like characters that are not Sun Jin-woo or people directly related to him, like his sister Jinna or oh dude.
How other series avoid this trap, and whether power fantasies truly have to be this way. Hey Greg, quick question. We can't even afford rent, so
Bro, why Greg
how
so
exactly
generic,
did
man?
we get that fancy animated intro? Simple. This video is
Already knowing. Grame.
to the video. To understand how solo leveling undermines its own writing, we first need to understand the genre it belongs to. Solo leveling falls into the action battle category of manhwa, which is similar to those of shonen anime, packed with high energy fights, escalating stakes, and of course, its own set of tropes. One of the most significant tropes is how side characters are handled. Tell me if this sounds familiar. You get introduced to a side character early on, someone with a cool premise and a lot of potential to grow on you. But as the
Sad
story
to go,
progresses, their power starts lagging behind the main cast. And before you know
Bro, chill. Like Ichigo said, bro, I've never seen Chad lose a fight,
it,
bro. Chill.
they've been completely sidelined, losing all relevance to the plot. Take Rock Lee, for example. He was easily my favorite character.
Lee is one of the like top 3 examples that literally almost anyone can note where a character that is a side character written really well gets hoed. And it's like, you can go to people who barely know anything about anime casuals, and they might have Lee in a top 5 for this category.
In early Naruto, a guy who just threw hands while everyone else relied on jutsu. But as the series escalated into kaiju battles and nuclear fucking level attacks, Lee just couldn't keep up, and so he faded into the background. That is the unfortunate reality of battle series. If a character cannot match the power scale of the current antagonist or plot, they get left behind. Conflict, development, and story progression in these genres are all handled through fighting. So if you are not strong enough, you are simply not relevant. Now, most battle manga manage to handle this to some degree. Yes, some beloved characters get left behind, but usually there's a solid core cast that keeps up with the story, giving the audience multiple characters to stay invested in. Solo leveling is the worst story I have ever seen when it comes to handling this power progression.
Oh, okay.
And it's not just because of the genre, it's
It does struggle with the power progression. Hey, the way he said that at first, I'm like, whoa, what they say 54?
baked into the very foundation of its premise and Jinwoo's abilities. Alright, let's visualize this.
Yeah.
Imagine a typical shonen
Alright, chat, I'm gonna close my eyes. We're gonna immerse.
power progression graph. A main character usually starts from 0, climbing at a steady pace. Some characters are left behind, falling beneath the level of plot relevancy, but usually they'll have a core group keeping up with them, plus future goalposts, stronger characters.
Like an example, Yu Yu Hakusho, you know what I'm saying? Hiei, Kuwabara, Kurama. These are people that are all relative to Yusuke as he grew.
Characters they'll eventually surpass. Okay? Now here's Jinwoo. First things first, solo leveling takes place in a world where power levels are essentially locked.
Be hard,
If you're E rank, you're stuck there. No amount of training or experience will let you break out of your tier. The only person who can grow stronger is Jinwoo. Already, this
I alone am the learning one.
is a massive problem because it basically guarantees almost every side character will be left behind.
No matter what.
But it gets far worse when you realize just how Jinwoo scales. First, he levels up like a normal RPG protagonist, distributing points to his stats, steadily increasing his strength. That's linear growth, and this alone could be somewhat fine.
Kinda.
But then you also
see, that's what I'm saying, linear growth. But most characters, it's kind of like these. It's sometimes linear, right? And then like they meet a mentor and they kind of stagnate. And, like, you feel me? But most of the time it's kind of like these. It's like as new characters get introduced, the main character starts to appear a little weaker, but they maybe invent a new technique. They meet a sensei, etc. It's not necessarily linear. Consistent linear growth is already OP, but Sung Jin Woo pretty much has consistent exponential growth because as he gets strong, it's like any video game, right? But instead of having to go look for different areas with stronger opponents, like in Pokemon, imagine every time you fight a Poke battle, they're like right under the level of like your Pokemon. Is that more annoying for you as the player? Yes, but imagine how much more XP you're getting, because no battles are useless battles.
Also have to account his individual
And you get drops,
skills,
too.
which also level up, stacking on top of this base progression. Now we're looking at quadratic growth. And then everything just goes to hell when you introduce his shadows. Jinwoo has the ability to resurrect enemies he
Any
defeats,
comp opponent.
turning them into his personal army. That
Necromancer is one of the greatest classes of all time. Can it be hoed? Like, I can only summon skeletons? Yes. But the ability to summon anyone you beat, right, it's kind of busted because they have their own skills. So you can have an army with almost infinite skills, right? But to take that a step further, to be a Necromancer class that has the ability to grow in terms of combat power on your own, you take away the weakness of any mage class, right? And to go even a step further, now anyone who is weaker than you in terms of combat power is your pawn. Anyone stronger than you in terms of combat power, if your magic power can close the gap, is a pawn, right? And then because of that, those two tiers of people, slightly stronger than you, weaker than you, add to your group. You feel me? And if they can evolve too, like they can in solo leveling, as you grow, you have people who are your level or slightly weaker constantly. So you can always jump jutsu someone, which is the strongest technique.
That means every major fight directly adds to his strength. Struggle against an incredibly difficult opponent doesn't matter. He now owns that opponent's power fully with no caveats, as well as infinite revives as long as he has mana. So for the story to maintain tension, the enemies Jinwoo faces must be
Constantly get stronger.
ridiculously more powerful than the ones he has faced
Which
before,
makes him ridiculously
putting him
more
on
powerful.
track for cubic
See?
growth. And if all of that wasn't enough,
The summon's
even
leveled
his
up.
shadows get stronger over
That's what I'm
time.
saying.
That's right. Other characters don't have the right to get stronger, but his shadows do. So instead of them becoming irrelevant as he moves forward,
They
like
are
that
the
Caterpie
cast.
on your Pokemon run, they scale with him, stacking on yet another layer
Forte.
of progression. So while everyone else is stuck at a constant level, Jinwoo isn't just growing linearly, not just quadratically, not even cubically.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, the problem is they're not going linear. If they were going linear, that's cool, because that means by the end of the series, they'll be here. Assuming this is like the power ceiling. End of the series, straight line-ish, they'll be like here, right? But it was going to take them, and Jinwoo's here, right? So at any given point in time, he's going to be stronger. So if this is the top, by the end of the series, they're kind of relative to him, right? If that's where the creator wants to go. But if not, say we stop right here, he's top of the verse, they're right here. But the closer you get to the end, the gap is like smaller. But because the opponents are so much stronger, there are still side characters that are like here that's not boxing on anybody up here. And Jinwoo's already up here by this point.
He's growing at a fucking quartic rate. This isn't just overpowered, it's escalation hell, requiring every new antagonist and plot obstacle to be at a ridiculous level of strength.
And again, because this is the type of situation where he gets stronger from fighting stronger opponents, so to make the story interesting, the opponents have to become stronger at the same rate almost that he does. Not his one particular opponent, but things thrown at him become stronger at the rate he becomes stronger. Because of that singular fact, it speed runs the world to an apocalyptic state where the main character is the only one who can save the world.
Compared to what came before. If you really want to understand how devious this escalation is, then let's take a look at Goto. Goto is initially introduced as the strongest Japanese hunter, the top of the top, an S rank among S ranks. And the narrative sets up Japanese hunters as a legitimate
cooking
threat,
that to Korean
even
hunters.
framing them as superior to Korean strongest. So naturally, Goto is taken as someone we're meant to be paying attention to. Then the
Mind you, over here talking shit. He talking about something. He talking shit. He talking about something. Man, oh, that one's kind of useful. Maybe as like a pawn. Maybe a little bit useful. Dang, bro. Why they force me to come here, bro? Everybody here sorry. Jinwoo pops up. Cooks him. Not going all out, by the way.
Juju Island arc happens.
No
and the
necromancer ability
escalation
used.
completely obliterates that setup. S rank is supposedly the ceiling of human strength in this world. These are national level weapons. Apex hunters who carry their entire country's safety on.
And this is exactly why, like I said, it puts the world on progression to apocalypse. Because these are national level threats. We are within first seasons, like the first couple arcs, and these creatures are now competing, if not are stronger than them. And because they don't grow, at least linearly, they're going to stay there. You can see very quickly how it's going to become something that they can no longer handle, no matter what they do.
On their backs. And Baru? Baru just walks through them, literally. There's no fight, no tension, he just appears and starts decapitating
Erasing
S ranks
it,
like they're fodder. Why didn't he do this to the Korean hunters, even though they're weaker? No, don't ask that question. Okay, but
Block
surely
beam, for
Goto is
sure.
different. He's the strongest of the strong. He'll at least hold his own for a second, maybe at least injure Baru. Something that justifies that arc-long build-up Japanese S ranks have been given. Nope, he dies instantly, doesn't even land a hit, doesn't show a single unique ability, he just dies as quickly as the rest of his team, and that's it. The story couldn't even pretend that he mattered. This isn't just about Goto, this is a recurring problem with almost every character in this series.
Yeah.
You cannot get attached to anyone, because they will instantly be made irrelevant within an arc or two.
It's like Akamega Kill, but instead of like you can't get attached to them because they're going to get packed, you can't get attached to them because you're going to be disappointed. Because they're not going to be able to match your expectations. These are the most generic summons that Jinwoo could have summoned early on. And he said they were comparable to A-rank hunters. Now they're holding back things these S-ranks can't. Weakest summons, by the way. These are things he has in like hundreds to 200s.
The second that they're introduced, you can already hear the
Non-named
clock
characters.
ticking on how long before Jinwoo and the plot completely outscales them. The one that personally peeved me the most was this guy, hyped up
Red
as
Robin.
humanity's ultimate weapon. Cool title, cool design, cool everything, yet nothing to show for it. Just
good.
another peon who exists to show how far behind everyone else is compared to Jinwoo. And I liked this character, I really did. And now I just have to accept that because of the way the series is built, it's literally impossible to care about. And now I just have to
I'm not going to lie, that's a realistic
accept
reaction.
that because of the way the series
He just slapped the f out of his beam.
is built, it's literally
This right here is a reasonable reaction. Now, is he making this reaction because it just slapped his beam and he's depressed? No. He's making his reaction because he darn near almost got cut in half. But a nigga just smacked your beam and is staring you down like that. Taller than you too, I'm giving up
literally
too.
impossible to care about any character who isn't Jinwoo. I just checked his wiki page, man. This is sad as hell. I just know he gets outskilled instantly. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not one of those people who thinks that every story needs to have some deep or grand message. But at the very least, you've got to give some attention to the rest of your cast.
Yeah, I agree with this. And I think every story, every piece of media pushes something, some part of the artist's and author's soul. Like, and that's why, again, like I said, I say this time and time again in YouTube videos and on stream. Creative type of like jobs, creative paths to me are some of the most impressive things you can do. And I've always been attached to media, whether it be Kung Fu Panda and the lessons that teaches. Avatar, I'm talking like way back when. Yeah, Avatar, the lessons it teaches, when it escalated from just being a cartoon to I wrote to my son, whatever you do to that fish, I will do to you tenfold. Good stuff like that, showing the importance of harmony, showing politics in a way that isn't overwhelming and forces you to like pick a side. That right there is the best way to comment on what's happening in the world. The best way to teach the younger generation, to teach the average person more about what's happening by seeing it in a way that doesn't intimidate you, in a way that doesn't force you to make a decision, but in a way that enlightens you and inspires you to potentially make a decision. One that passes the spark, passes this torch of life, of creativity. That is why media is as important as it is, and that's why the internet is one of the greatest inventions of all time. Is there terrible things on that are on the internet? 100%. Are there things that, you know, if I was a creator of the internet, I've seen that made me go, I wish I never created this shit. 100%. But the internet is also the reason I'm able to interact with you right now. It's also the reason you're able to be entertained almost 24/7 whenever you need it. Now, can that be a crutch that stunts your growth? Yes, that can make you become more lazy, make you not want to chase your ambition and chase your goals. 100%. But again, any tool is only as strong as the user wills it to be. If you don't use it that way, you know the millions of YouTube tutorials that have probably taught people how to be like a plumber, how to weld, all types of stuff. These connections, these unshakable bonds of humanity, this ability to pass things on, and I actually remember that shit, to just spin on, Gurren Lagann reference, you know what I'm saying? To continue refining, that's what I meant to say. Refinement, to continue taking some idea that a random kid just randomly thought about billions of years ago and take that a little further. Absolute cinema.
Think about it. Most power fantasies follow a familiar formula. The side characters struggle, the stakes get high, and then the main character steps in to save the day. It works because the build-up is what makes that payoff satisfying. But if your characters are completely uninteresting, then the build-up, aka 70% of the story, becomes low grade. And if 70% of your series is uninteresting, then the whole thing starts to fall
Might as well be uninteresting.
apart. Take One Punch Man for example. Unlike Solo Leveling, it's not just good fights and animation, it's filled with memorable characters as well. Genos, Mumen Rider, Garo, the story lets them shine. They aren't just props for Saitama, they have arcs, goals, and relevance. That's what makes the action and comedy.
He's spitting. Flashy Flash, Tatsumaki, Fubuki. He's spitting. King. Can name a couple characters from this show. Metal Bat.
Hit harder. Or compared to Hunter x Hunter, and let's be honest,
Gon, Killua, Pito, Meruem, Yuppie, the GOAT, Hisoka, Crollo Lucifer. I'm just saying.
the Jeju Island arc from
cast
Solo
does help.
Leveling at
He's
least
good.
mirrors the Chimera Ant arc in structure. But where Solo Leveling used its cast to prop up Jinwoo, Hunter x Hunter used its cast and story to explore trauma,
narrative.
morality, and the
Yeah.
cost of revenge. It made everyone feel important. And yeah, some fans will say Solo Leveling does need to be deep, that it's just about cool fights and hype and aura. And sure, sometimes that's enough. But even the smallest amounts of extra care can take your story from fun to unforgettable. So if you're a writer watching this, just remember, fun to unforgettable. Amounts of extra
he be
care
being
can
slick with
take
these
your
little
story
lyrics.
from fun to unforgettable.
The scene is a promise of because it deviates from the standard tropes of power fantasies, which simply use the main character as a branching point for the audience's fantasies. It humanizes Sung Jin-woo and shows that behind the vapid pursuit, vapid might be a word, vapid pursuit of infinite power, there is a human and familiar reason for his goals. Exactly. Relatability is important. That's why I mess with Pint. He talks about the media in a way where like it's not just this thing that just exists and it's just here. He makes it matter. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I agree on this. And what's crazy about this too is people got mad at the whole Jinwoo joint. People were upset about this. Him crying or whatever. Even though he's human. It's actually kind of laughable.
So if you're a writer watching this, just remember, unless you have a truly, and I mean a truly compelling main character, you never let them leave the rest of the cast in the dust.
Yeah.
Your audience will be unsatisfied, your world will be half-baked, and worst of all, your story will suffer. Thank you for
Lukewarm. I love how I used half baked. That was kind of like a part 2 kind of to the power scaling video. Just talking more about narratives and why they're important. Shout out to Professor Pint for breaking it down. And yeah, man, as always, thank you guys for sticking through to the end. You know what time to catch me next. Peace.